On a recent episode of The View, tensions flared during a passionate political discussion between co-hosts Sara Haines and Sunny Hostin. The conversation kicked off with the news that Karine Jean-Pierre, former press secretary for President Joe Biden, had officially left the Democratic Party and registered as an independent. This move opened the floodgates for a deeper conversation about political identity in modern America, particularly in a time when party loyalty is often treated as non-negotiable. Sara Haines, who has identified as an independent voter for over 2 decades, used Jean-Pierre's shift as a launching point to share her perspective. She applauded the decision as a more honest and nuanced approach to politics. For Haines, being an independent isn't about being undecided. It's about evaluating each candidate on their merit rather than clinging to party loyalty. She emphasized the importance of breaking away from what she called jersey-wearing politics, the idea that people must pick a side and stick to it no matter what. In Haines' view, that kind of tribalism damages our democracy more than it helps. Haines explained that although she has voted predominantly for Democrats over the past 25 years, she doesn't feel fully aligned with the Democratic Party's platform. Her choice to stay independent reflects her desire to remain open-minded and vote for the candidate who best represents her values, regardless of their party affiliation. She made it clear that if a Republican candidate came along who aligned with her beliefs, she wouldn't hesitate to vote for them. This stance didn't sit well with Sunny Hostin, who pushed back hard. Hostin argued that in the age of Donald Trump, the idea of voting Republican simply doesn't make sense to her. She stated bluntly that today's Republican Party, what she referred to as the Trumplican Party, is unrecognizable compared to its past. From her perspective, the values that define the current GOP are so at odds with her own that supporting a candidate from that side of the aisle feels impossible. Hostin's argument was rooted in the belief that Trumpism has overtaken traditional Republican principles, making the party inhospitable to anyone outside of its increasingly narrow ideological framework. Haines responded by pointing out what she saw as Hostin's narrow view of the political landscape. While Hostin countered that the Republican Party no longer exists in its previous form, Haines held her ground. She acknowledged that the political climate is more polarized than ever, but argued that this polarization is exactly why independent voices are so crucial. By staying outside of the partisan fray, independents can demand accountability from both sides and maybe, just maybe, push the system toward more thoughtful and inclusive leadership. What made this exchange so compelling wasn't just the disagreement itself, but the honesty and clarity with which both women presented their views. It highlighted a fundamental divide in how Americans are navigating a deeply fractured political reality. For some, like Hostin, the stakes are too high to entertain what they see as neutrality. For others, like Haines, refusing to be boxed in by party lines is the only way to truly remain principled in a time of chaos. In the end, the conversation underscored how complicated political identity has become in the United States. It's no longer just about being red or blue. It's about grappling with nuance, shifting values, and the very meaning of political affiliation in a post-Trump era. And as more public figures like Karine Jean-Pierre make the move to independent status, it's clear that the conversation is far from over. Whether people lean left, right, or somewhere in between, one thing is certain. The future of American politics is being rewritten by those who are willing to challenge the status quo.